Hello and welcome to the 6th of 6 webinars in the Frequently Asked Practice Query Question series. This video will be focused on questions around supervision. If you have not already done so, please watch the introductory video in this series. It'll help you make sense of the information and perspectives offered in this video. I'm Judith Pinto, Occupational Therapist and Practice Advisor with the Alberta College of Occupational Therapists. I am grateful to be presenting to you today from Edmonton, Alberta. Located on the North Saskatchewan River, this land has been the site for meeting, rest, ceremony, relationship building, trade by Indigenous communities, primarily the Blackfoot, Cree, Assiniboine, and Métis for thousands of years. Edmonton is located in Treaty 6 territory and within the Métis homelands and Métis Nation of Alberta Region 4. The image you see on your screen is a photo that I took of the Rossdale Cemetery, a memorial that was built to remember the traditional burial grounds located in the Rossdale Flats area. This site was part of Epcor's power plant until remains were discovered and a section was then blocked off. The City of Edmonton, Epcor, descendants of traditional bands of the area, and other community members came together to design and create this memorial. It was officially opened in August of 2006 and is protected by law. As regulated health professionals, occupational therapists are responsible to ensure the safety and effectiveness of service delivery at all times, including when they assign tasks for others to deliver, whether those are regulated or unregulated professionals. Often, therapists who call in to ask questions about supervision are trying to ensure that they continue to ensure safe, competent care in an efficient manner. Supervision questions often relate to that tension between providing care that is efficiently delivered while ensuring client safety and managing the risks, responsibilities, and professional liabilities that the therapist assumes in that process. Typically, OTs who call in are interested in understanding their responsibilities and liabilities while providing supervision to occupational therapy students, provisional occupational therapists, re-entry occupational therapists, and non-regulated personnel like educational assistants or occupational therapy assistants. Please note that the potential roles and responsibilities of a supervisee may vary based on the individual being supervised, the tasks that are being assigned, and the typical employer or service expectations. A key point to remember is that provisional occupational therapists, re-entry occupational therapists, and occupational therapy students are permitted to engage in the practice of occupational therapy under the supervision of an occupational therapist who assumes responsibilities for their practice. Non-regulated helping professionals cannot be assigned or provide restricted activities. So in step 1 in our practice query conversation, let's consider a sample question. I have been asked to provide supervision to an individual who will be carrying out OT interventions. What do I need to know? What risks do I need to consider? What responsibilities am I assuming? So we're clear on the question in its many parts, and it is within ACOT's mandate to ensure the safe, effective, ethical delivery of occupational therapy services to Albertans. So we'll proceed to step 2 in the practice query conversation. So step 2, what is your hunch? What responsibilities and liabilities do you think an OT might assume when providing supervision? Press pause and take a minute to consider your thoughts. Jot down a few notes. In step 3, we're going to consider the legislation. Provincial laws that you need to consider include the Health Professions Act, the Health Professions Restricted Activity Regulation, and the Occupational Therapy Profession Regulation. The take-home message from profession-specific provincial legislation is only supervise or assign activities to individuals who are authorized under regulations to provide those activities. Unlike non-regulated support personnel, only OT students, provisional OTs, and re-entry OTs are authorized to conduct activities that require clinical judgment and to engage in the provision of restricted activities. Ensure you are clear on what you can assign to whom. In step 4, we look at the regulations. The standard of practice supervision expects that a registrant demonstrates accountability for the services delivered by any person they are responsible for supervising. This means they are accountable for all services provided under supervision, only supervises OT services, including restricted activities, that they are competent to supervise, ensures it is safe and appropriate for the supervised person to perform the specific services with a particular client, that is, that the supervisee is competent to do what you have asked them to do, does not assign tasks that require professional clinical judgment or reasoning to non-regulated personnel, and communicates clearly around roles, responsibilities, and accountabilities. Please refer to the standard of practice supervision for full details. Additionally, ACOT's advisory statement for the assignment of OT services to support personnel provides many details on this specific aspect of supervision. Please review it. In the case of student, provisional, and reentry OTs, there are documentation expectations as per the University of Alberta or Alberta College of Occupational Therapists that must be completed. Registrants are encouraged to review the appropriate guidance documents to ensure they are clear on their responsibilities when providing supervision. In step 5, we'll consider the practice of occupational therapy. What are your employer's policies and procedures around supervision? Do these policies and procedures align with and meet or exceed ACOT's standards of practice and code of ethics? What do you need to ensure is included in your informed consent process? This will vary depending on who you are supervising. Understand that you should only supervise individuals in an area that you yourself are competent to provide care. In step 6, we'll do an ethical check. Are you able to ensure that your clients will receive safe, competent, ethical care? Are there any competing interests between efficiencies in service delivery and effectiveness that need to be resolved? Are there any ethical issues that might need to be considered in your particular situation? ACOT's Code of Ethics, C3, also asserts that registrants have an ethical responsibility to provide mentorship and guidance as needed to colleagues, students, and or persons they are responsible for supervising. So it is a balance. In steps 7 through 10, is where you'll begin to consider everything that we've discussed to this point in the context of your situation. So in terms of supervision, will you be providing in-person or virtual supervision? Are you sharing supervision responsibilities? How confident are you in your competence to provide the specific service you provide? How confident are you in your competence to provide supervision? Do you have adequate time to provide appropriate levels of orientation? How will you ensure your supervisee knows to ask for help if they are unsure how to proceed, and that they do so before they proceed? Does your employer or workplace have tools in place to provide support with supervision? And in step 8, a registrant may have some preliminary decisions on how they might proceed. They may need to do some more research before arriving at their final decision, which may include, in step 9, consulting your professional liability provider if you have specific questions about liability that you may be assuming. As well, you may wish to consult with colleagues, clinical supervisors, mentors, managers, or others who may have more experience or be able to offer support or guidance. So by this point in step 10, you need to be clear on how you're proceeding. In summary, here are recommendations to consider. When appropriate, formalize the supervision agreement. Ensure adequate orientation to occupational therapy and your particular service as appropriate. Ensure closer supervision until you determine that the individual you are supervising is able to complete assigned tasks with greater degrees of independence and that they know their limitations and when to ask for help. Document your decision and your rationale as appropriate for any changes to your supervision level or process. Thank you for attending today's session. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to phone or email.